What's happening, guys and gals? Chris the Bonafide Hustler coming to you live from the inside of my office. Anyways, welcome to the show. In today's show, I'm going to show you 8 awesome items that you can sell on eBay for incredible profit. Now, these items are basically all used, and they were found at thrift stores, garage sales, etc. So, if everything sounds good, we're going to get right to the program. I'm the Bonafide Hustler. I reside in Austin, Texas. On a part-time basis, I am flipping things that I find from garage sales, estate sales, yard sales, flea markets, pawn shops, swap meets, big box stores, and thrift stores. And I put it on places like eBay, Amazon, Craigslist, my antique booth, and other consignment avenues in town. I am one of the co-owners of the greenroomuniversity.com. It's the second link down below. Please go check it out. It is an amazing place if you want to boost your resale game. Okay, so in this video, as stated before, we are going to be looking at 8 amazing items, and probably there will be 9, maybe even 10, because I have always been known to drop extra content, So anyways, we're gonna be looking at some cool finds that I estimate will sell for really, really good money on eBay, and a couple of them are gonna be in the multi-hundred range, So I call that extra sharp cheddar in my book. So anyways, I hope you enjoy the show. If you find out something interesting or you're learning something new, the easiest thing you can do for me, besides leave a comment, is to hit the like button, okay? So let's get to item number 1. These are just recent finds I found in the past week and a half, and I just haven't put them in the box on my eBay wall yet. And that's kind of how I like to do my eBay business. I like to basically, since I'm a content creator, I show you guys these things first, or I'll show the green room some of these things, and from there they get boxed up. They get put on my eBay wall, and I don't ever really see them ever again unless I missed a measurement or something is just off. I usually never reopen the box until I don't even open it up again ever. Like the last time I touched the box is right before it ships. So this is kind of like the last time we get to see these items. So I hope you enjoy the content. All right, so item number 1 is pretty simple. I really do not like to get into clothing, but I'll selectively get into clothing, and more specifically, I like to get into outdoors type clothing and jackets and things like that. I do have 2 amazing jackets to show you. In fact, kind of like 3, and you'll see why. But I have some cool things to show you, and those are the kind of things that I get into. And I urge you guys out there, if you are a solo eBay kind of person, really take a hard look at your clothing business and go, what's worth your time and what isn't, and establish a certain maybe base rate that you want to get out of each one of your clothing items. And for me, that's around $50. So if I can't crank out $50 in pure profit out of each one of these clothing things, and some of these are going to be kind of close, some of them might be like 45 or something like that, but if I can't get close to $50, like, I'm not going to pick it up. And that just is something that I am doing right now. That's for another show called The Road to 200, which is basically 200 super high quality listings that will yield me $50 or more in pure profit for each listing that I do, only working somewhere between 15 and 16 hours a week. So anyways, the first item, right, is from a brand that you guys should know about by now. It is called Kuhl, K-U-H-L. The logo looks like this. It's kind of like a mountain looking thing. All right, so good thing I have a 1080 camera, because you guys can definitely see that. And I want you guys to memorize this logo. I've talked about this brand so many times on my broadcast, but this is basically a cool alpaca fleece pullover, right? And it's a very kind of not sought after, but it's a very high selling item in the Kuhl lineup. I mean, this has been out for a long time, and it doesn't appear to be shrunk or anything like that. It doesn't really even appear to be worn that much. And so this right here can fetch between $60 and $65. I got into this one for $8, I believe. So that's not too bad. Like, I'm going to get into that. I'll probably, with a first class rate, eke out about maybe $45 in pure profit, very close to 50 regardless. I couldn't turn it down because it's a really easy sale. Anyway, so that's the first item I want to show you guys. The second item is really cool. I wanted to save it for the very last part of this episode, but it's sitting right here. So I found this one today. This was $5. I'll probably be using it in some of my ride-along content. And for those of you guys who are new to my channel, first of all, make sure you're subscribed. But second of all, if you watch my ride-along stuff, that's basically me on a Saturday morning going out to garage sales, showing you guys what I hunt for, acting like a dumbass. And that's where maybe this item will end up on. It's going to end up on some ride-along videos, and eventually it'll get sold. So what is it? Well, first of all, it's a vintage toy, which is neat. 1989, all right? Tyko Hot Licks. I don't know if you guys ever remember seeing this. This is super rare, but not rare in the sense where it's like, okay, Antique Roadshow rare, but it's very rare. I mean, it's hard to find these things. So if you're wondering what the hell this is, basically a consumer grade kids toy, not to be, confused with like a Guitar or a Casio Guitar, whatever those things are. This is just a kid's toy. Taiko, you know, this brand right here, especially in this logo right here, you should memorize this because they're really big on making really cool toys like this. But more importantly, they're you know, back in the late 80s and early 90s, they made incredible consumer grade remote radio controlled cars, right? And trucks and hovercrafts and boats and fast tracks, things that look like half tanks. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a really, it's an amazing brand. It's honestly like a brand that when I was a kid, I only had one, maybe two Tyko things. I had a turbo hopper and I had this race car that said Krakow on the side, Kraco. It doesn't probably matter anything to you guys, but those were like really highly sought after things when you were a kid back in the late 80s. And I had two of those things. And I remember one of them, used 8 AA batteries, right? 8 AA batteries to run for like 15 minutes or so. Think about that for a second, right? Even in today's world, 8 AA batteries is not exactly super cheap. If you're a kid and you're racing around a car for 15 minutes, then it has to cool down. Then you put another 8 in, you know, and you might be thinking, why don't you just get rechargeable batteries? Well, they just didn't perform that well back in the day. So, you know, I was with Tyko back when Tyko didn't even have like battery packs on their cars, you know, so I mean, it was pretty easy to see that that wasn't sustainable. But anyways, let's go to this guitar real quick. I found this today for $5. And it's important because it is a Taiko guitar, right? And Taiko really made cool slot cars as well. So I'm just kind of give you guys some extra homework behind the scenes, like extra little tidbits of cheddar there, where you guys behind the scenes need to take, you know, some time, maybe tonight or tomorrow, and look up some of this Taiko stuff for yourself, vintage Taiko RC or vintage Taiko slot cars or things like that. Anyways, here we have a Taiko guitar. It's a Hot Licks, which is really neat because, I mean, I knew what I was looking at, but then when I saw the Hot Licks thing, it immediately took me back to my childhood. I mean, it was just totally awesome. So, you know, I think it's really important because I thought I was going to see battery corrosion and all that kind of stuff. And when you find items like this, whether it be radio controlled cars or things like this, or maybe even you know, like a keyboard or something, you're going to definitely want to pop out the battery cover. And if you see an extensive amount of battery corrosion, that might be a deal killer, right? Because it's kind of tough. You have to get some apple cider vinegar out, Q-tips, semi-abrasive type cloths, and really, you know, try to get that out of there because it's kind of a buzzkill when you list it. You send it off and the person opens up the battery bay and sees all this crusty stuff. That's not good. Like, that's not good at all. So anyways, I open it up. I see this right here, which is cool. I made sure to rotate them real quick. So that way, if the contacts were kind of junked out, you know, when you rub them right there, it allows the battery to, you know, there's a really high chance you could make a really good contact if it was, if there was something impeding the contact. So I do that. I close it up. I turned it on, right? There's a little switch right here. And sounds pretty awesome. That's what I'm saying. So there is one thing that's missing on this, which is probably the whammy bar, which is here. But the whammy bar, I think, was directly controlled to the pitch control, which is this thing right here. So all the functionality truly is there. The whammy bar just allowed it to just look cooler. But anyway, so got some cool chords and all kinds of stuff, and it can make some really neat tunes out of it. Most importantly, I mean, look at that logo right there, Hot Licks. That is so neat. I'm sorry, like if you can't appreciate vintage stuff for what it is, I have a soft spot in my heart for vintage or retro items, especially when it has to deal with things like this or Nico or things from my childhood, NES cartridges. Like I almost have to rescue them each and every time, as long as they are in a reasonable, decent condition and they are okay on price. Like I have to just rescue it, right? So this Taiko right there, this Taiko Hot Licks could sell between about $50 and $70, right? Now with the whammy bar gone, thinking probably closer to 50 when I'm done with it. But it's one of those things that might sit around for, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 months. They're pretty cool. And there are a couple on eBay right now that are listed. So that's pretty neat. But yeah, $498, there's the price tag on the back. I thought that was really awesome. Anyways, yes, and some people are definitely telling me to create some shirts in that font. I have a neat line of 80s retro styled Bonafide Hustler t-shirts. If you check out the link below in this video, there's a link that shows you 6 shirts. That's one way you can support the channel, and there's some killer looking shirts in there. I mean, I love the 80s. It was a fun decade where people didn't have cell phones. You actually had to talk to your friends. You rode bikes and you played with other people. Whereas nowadays it's just like, oh, come over, let's play Call of Duty and like, let's get fat, right? So that's not fun. I think really, I like to believe that I lived in 2 of the best decades ever in this country, right? The 90s and the 80s, because at the tail end of the 90s, like cell phones came out, and I was in college, and it was just a little different. So, anyways, but still, nevertheless, 2 amazing decades for me, at least. All right, what else can sell really good on eBay? Let's get you another item that's pretty cool. So something to check out, if you ever find things like this, which are handcrafted wood pieces. They're typically things that are found on coffee tables, and people put really obnoxious things inside. You can't really put a coffee table book in here, but you can put remote controls, or you can put those like twine-looking balls that don't mean anything, and they're just decoration, which is like weird. If it's Christmas time, you can put ornaments in it. You can fill it up with little rocks and make a little fake bonsai tree. I don't know, but like people put these things on the middle of tables, and they're neat. They're just hand carved, live edge kind of, I guess that's one of the words you could use, wood pieces right here. So I decided to get into this. This was 15 bucks. I really think this could probably sell for somewhere around 60 to 80 bucks, honestly. So that's pretty cool. If I hadn't bought this at a thrift store, this would probably have been like $5 to maybe $3 at a garage sale. So it kind of sucks, but I couldn't leave it behind because I love live edge stuff. I'm a sucker for live edge, and you don't really find it too often. So anyways, that's pretty neat. Thriller Gorilla Picker is in the chat right now. You know, sometimes if you're lucky, you get to watch these shows and there's a live chat going on, which is what's happening right now this very moment. But anyways, Thriller Gorilla Picker says it's so much fun. I would never trade it for $1 million. The music was rad in the 80s as well. So yeah, the 80s was really, really fun. Okay, so let's talk about this. I'm not 100% sure I talked about this yesterday on a video, but I want to kind of show you this again. If I did, I'm sorry. If I'll just kind of, when you're finding boots like this or shoes like this to sell on eBay, and by the way, yeah, so we have 3 items so far. Here's the 4th one. We'll probably go to like 10 or 11 items. If that doesn't deserve a like, I don't know what does. But right here we have wingtip type Chukka style ankle boots, whatever. These are made by Cole Haan. Look, I just seem to find a lot of Cole Haan, which is cool. It's definitely not a brand that I suggest like going crazy deep into unless you get to the top ends of it, like the Zero Grand, Grand OS, Lunar Grand, things like that, and you get them for a pretty decent, chunk of change. You're not breaking the bank. Then yeah, you probably want to sell it. Probably be worth your time. But when it comes to normal Cole Haan, like I typically don't mess with the leather low cut shoes that much. But when they become these ankle high tops or things like that, I'm gonna probably get into them. And when they start becoming, welted leather or whatever you call it, or wingtip, brogue style, whatever, or even like I could use the term derby, then I'll probably be a little bit more interested in it, especially if it's 10 bucks. So I got into this for 10 bucks. I really do think I could sell this for about $70 all day. So that would be like the lowest. So not bad at all. Some Cole Haan ankle boots right there. Pretty sweet. While we're on the subject of boots, I'll probably show you this one, which I don't believe I showed yesterday, but I'll show you this again. We'll count this as item number 4. It's the same as the other boot. We're not going to go 5 and 6 and 7 just being all boots or anything, but these are just sitting right on the floor. So I may as well show them to you. Here is a pair of boots. You might be thinking, wow, that's kind of an interesting style. I think I've seen that before. Well, you might have, because this is technically like Florsheim's Beetle boot, like UK British style Beatles, right? And so that's definitely one of the biggest keywords you can use for a boot like this. But these are Florsheim, I forgot what the name is, but a really good size, a 10.5 little Beetle boot right here with zippers on the side, which is huge. That's a big piece when it comes to styles, having some zippers on the side like that. Very odd looking, very, how do I explain it? I mean, I look at this and I'm thinking, like really super fly pimp people, yeah, I guess British rock stars from back in the day, some Mick Jagger maybe. So yeah, it's a very interesting looking kind of thing, almost like a breezer, or I guess that's the name of it. There's some boots back in the day called like Breezer Elite or Breezer Light or something like that. And they kind of look like Breezer Lights. But anyway, so very nice boot. I got into these for 10 bucks the other day. Probably be selling these for about $70 on eBay. It's pretty good profit right there. Now, of course, you can't fit that into a USPS priority shipping box, priority shipping box, but you can put them in a slightly larger box. My rate from Austin, Texas to any part of the country is probably going to be somewhere in the vicinity of $10 to $12. So that's not too bad. Okay, now let's get to some of the really good stuff, okay? I see a lot of people in the feed talking, what's up? Good to see every one of you guys out there. Oh, by the way, while I have all 60 of you guys here live in the feed right now, go check out this guide right here. It's 100 amazing items to resell. If you're like, man, this guy kind of seems like he knows what he's talking about. I wish he could say, tell us a little bit more than 8 or 10 items. Well, there's some good items in this guide, and we built this guide many many years ago, 2 years ago. And go check out this guide, right? It's the first link down below. And I know some people in the feed have this guide and they swear by it. We put a lot of work into it. It's cool. Some really nice bread and butter items that will train you, on what to sell on eBay and, where to source it from, thrift stores, garage sales. But learn these items. I mean, especially before, peak garage sale season, you're going to want to know as much as you can. And, a guide like this can make you thousands, tens of thousands of dollars if you execute it correctly. So definitely go check it out. As always, do your own eBay research behind the scenes or whatever, your final risk assessment. Don't just be buying every single thing that you see from that guide and not, establish a good entry price and a good estimated sales price. Very, very important. So I don't think I have to say that disclaimer, but, some people go nuts. They're like, oh, I heard you talk about this, so I bought it and it was $50 for this pair of shoes and I'm going to sell it for $59. Your info is crap, so be careful, right? Get your entry costs really, really low. Okay. All right, let's get to some of the really, really good stuff because there's some good stuff here. I'll go to one of the heavier items since I am full of creatine right now. I just had a shake. So let's get the heavy thing out of the way. This was pretty cool. I bought this yesterday. If I'm straining, it's heavy, right? Okay, so I bought this yesterday. This was $10. Had a piece of paper on it that said, needs a tamper, which is this thing that goes on the top, and it needs the bottom screen thing that holds the screen in. Outside of that, this is a really good condition Champion juicer. So, if you're out there and you're like, man, that kind of looks like the wheatgrass looking thing, it is the wheatgrass looking thing. So Champion juicers are awesome. Huge market on eBay for them, especially in used condition. Go check it out. There seems to be somewhere between 2 and 4 models that they've ever produced, and the model is on the back right here on this plate. It's one switch on and off. It's like the easiest thing to test, and there should be, if you have everything correct, should be a tamper. Should have this piece right here, because I've sold this before actually. You should have this piece right here, right? You should have that piece right there, which goes on a little rod thing. So 1, the juicer, the main part of the juicer, the motor. 2 being this, 3 being that. Right, 4 being the tamper, 5 being the screen holder, 6 and 7 being 2 different screens that should come with it. So if you get this correct, it should be, if I'm not mistaken, 7 pieces, maybe 8, but 7, I think. So anyways, go check that out. And that's not including a VHS tape or a manual or anything like that, because you don't need it. It's just like one switch. Like, what the hell is a manual for? You don't need it. You really don't need it. So Champion juicer, solder, I would say, since there's such a big market, depending on how complete and how effed up yours looks, you could shake out around 80, or you can go all the way up to about like $200, it seems like. So it just depends. This one right here is probably, when I bought it for $10, my estimation was that it was going to sell for around 100. So that's just me. Okay, let's take a look. Brendan Weber says, great book. Flip That Shh was good too. That was my first book that I produced on Amazon 5 years ago. That's down below as well, so go check that out if you want to get it. Anyways, okay. We got Ricardo Gruola, shout out from Miami, Florida. Hey man, shout out from Austin, Texas. Hope you're enjoying the video. Hit the like button. All right, so let's talk about something a little bit more specialty. I got 3 clothing items here. The last one's gonna freaking blow your mind. So I think there's 3. Okay, so we have 1 item here, 2, 3, and I think there's 1 more back there, 4. Okay, so we have a lot of items we're discussing today, and my clickbait is completely inaccurate, right? I should be putting 10 or 12 items, but I'm just gonna put 8 and kind of surprise the people that watch this after the fact, because we're gonna get into some really cool stuff here. All right, so I led off this show saying that I love outdoor stuff, and that's the only real clothing I try to get into. Outdoors-based stuff. I like shoes, but that's not really clothing. But like outdoor-based stuff is pretty much it. Workout-based things, physical fitness-based stuff. Then y'all get into it, mountain biking shorts, But run-of-the-mill clothing, I kind of stay away from it. It's just not my forte. So what do we have here, right? This looks like a soft-shell jacket, similar to a North Face Apex jacket. Really neat. So a soft-shell jacket is, I kind of don't like them. They're kind of like the most annoying jacket out of every jacket known to man, right? They don't really serve, it's like the CrossFit of jackets, right? They don't serve any real purpose, except it's good at marginally covering certain things, right? So this is like the CrossFit of jacket in my opinion. So is it windproof? We'll blow into it. It's pretty windproof. It's like 90% windproof. That's cool. Is it water resistant? You can put some water on this and it will bead off, but then too much, like a deluge or whatever you call it, will eventually soak this thing. Okay, still like the CrossFit jackets. Does it have a is it insulated, right? That's an important question when you have a jacket. Is it insulated? Will it keep me warm? So in here we have a very light layer of fleece, as you can see. Okay, so it's not a thick layer of fleece. It's not like any kind of 800 weight or 800 gram or whatever, like that kind of stuff, but it's not down. It's just fleece, right? Does it have zippers everywhere? Well, yeah, that it does. It has zippers like more than any other jacket I've ever seen. So that's actually a real plus right there. Does it have drawstring stuff at the bottom? Here at the hood, anytime you start seeing drawstring stuff at the hood level, which allows you to kind of customize the way the hood scoops forward or pulls back, like in a rainstorm, is kind of important. That has that stuff too. That's pretty neat. Zipper's good. Everything is in great condition, and it has places for patches to go on. So now you can kind of assume that this thing is a little bit more military-ish, maybe survival-ish, right? And so when I saw this jacket and I touched it real quick, I was like, man, this is a soft shell. I hate saying that. It's like a tongue twister, right? A soft shell jacket. And I decided I'll look further into it. Okay, so I unzip it for a second, and I take a look at it, and it says Tad Gear USA. And I didn't know anything about Tad Gear USA, but I know a lot about Softshell Jackets. So I looked up Tad Gear USA, coming to find out it stands for Triple Aught Design. And Triple Aught Design, some of their jackets, I mean, the cheapest jacket on that site is probably gonna be like $100. The most expensive jacket on that site is probably like $500 or $600. And this one right here shakes out kind of in the middle. This is actually a Tad or Triple Aught Design Stealth hoodie with the fleece liner, not the Stealth hoodie or the Stealth LT, which is just the shell. And it's not to be confused with the Raptor, which is a completely different shell. So anyways, some places to put some cool patches or whatever, but it's essentially survival gear, okay? So if you have this and you're in the wild, this is like Bear Grylls stuff, except yeah, Bear Grylls probably doesn't spend $500 or $600 on it. He gets it for free, right? So Tad Gear right here, all the stuff that's on their website shows people in the wilderness and they're freaking hatchets and like they're surviving for I don't know why, but they're out in the wilderness, right? And they're doing day hikes, whatever. I don't think this is like outdoorsy, like airsoft or paintball or anything like that. This is more like bushcraft survival kind of stuff like that. Okay, so that's the jacket. I estimate that then the lowest this jacket would probably sell for about $150. And this is a $12 jacket, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I paid for it. So I think, I'm asking a high price right now, but I think if I get it down to about $150, I think it'll go like that. I mean, it'd be gone. So like, I'm no rush to sell it. I'm probably going to back off about $20 like every 2 weeks or so until I reach this like accurate market price. Because quite honestly, the fleece model of the Stealth jacket is a little bit harder to find. You can find the LT model all over the place, and they're selling for like $400. But the fleece one, I don't know if it was like heavily sought after or it's just like for every single one that comes up on eBay, it sells real quick. I don't know. But this one right here, I really do feel as if with the construction that I'm seeing and everything like that, like this screams like far beyond North Face, like kind of far beyond Patagonia, honestly, because the functionality is just second to none. We got YKK zippers on this thing. Like not even most Patagonia stuff will have YKK zippers. They have like just cheap Chinese zippers. So anyways, a Triple Aught Design, TAD, something that you can take a look for out there while you're in the field. Let me show you that actual, there goes the Hot Licks. I'm going to show you the thing right there, Triple Aught Design, Tad Gear USA. So just remember that right there. It's kind of a hard symbol to memorize, but hopefully you guys can do it. All right, let's go. Let's keep going here. That's one of the better finds, right? Let's talk about something else on the lines of just outdoorsy clothing or things that are kind of overlandish. When I say overland, if you go to like cool outdoors towns, especially in Colorado, for even in Sedona, they have stores called actually have a store called Overland, and in a store called Overland, you'll find, and even stores like REI and stuff. But in these kind of stores that are never really found in like places like Arizona or anything like that, but they're kind of found in a little bit colder climates. Then you'll find stuff like Woolrich, right? And I don't like to hustle most of Woolrich because most of Woolrich will have a hole in it, and it's kind of saturated. But it doesn't get saturated when you start dealing with like the Mackinac jackets, which are like the standard brawny-looking flannels that are like insulated, nylon inside, not itchy and weird feeling. And so this one right here, we have a women's, right? Really nice design right there. I forget there's a word that you cannot use on eBay. I don't think it's Aztec. It might be Navajo. I don't know. But anyways, we have a tribal kind of print right here. Pretty neat. And the most important thing when you deal with Woolrich or any wool garment, okay, Pendleton, whatever, is to scan and relentlessly scan the garment, because there is probably an 80% chance that there's going to be a hole. Okay, so this one scanned it, had my wife scan it, and no hole. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm into it. I bought this one for, I believe, 12 bucks, if I'm not mistaken, maybe actually 10 bucks. I'm not 100% sure. It's in great condition. It's a women's kind of like coat blazer thing. Probably going to sell for, my guess, around 70 bucks. That's just my, experience selling those things. About 70 bucks is probably what we're going to be dealing with. It definitely has a little bit more vibrant tribal design than most that have sold, so that's kind of a good thing. That's more of a premium. So anyways, that's pretty cool. Let's go into let's see, should I show you guys the home run now? There's 2 home runs I want to show you. I mean, it's just freaking crazy home runs here. So yeah, let's take a look at this one right here. I don't even know what number we're at. Okay, so let's just say that this is number 10. All right, this is pretty cool. I think I showed this on a previous video. I'm not 100% sure. I did. Oh, I know what I did. Like, I haven't boxed this up because someone wants a measurement on it, which is probably meaning it's going to sell soon. So this is from Sawyer of Napa. I did show this on a thrift battle. It's still sitting in my room because I don't want to like box it up until the very last second. This is a Sawyer from Napa vest. Estimated resale value 120 to about 150 in great condition, and this one is in basically mint or perfect condition. I believe I spent, gosh, I'm not even, like, I buy a fair amount of things now, and even though I'm part-time, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I spent 12, maybe 13 on this thing, which is in incredible condition. Like, this is super cool. Kenny Loggins kind of looking, you live in a little cabin in Colorado. It's just an amazing looking vest. So that's pretty cool. It's also endorsed or sold at Lord & Taylor, which is up there with Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus. I mean, it's up there. So it has a Lord & Taylor tag inside as well. It's got that nice shearling interior, so that's cool. I like that a lot. It's a vest, which is like very, very, how do I say it? It's very versatile, right? A vest is easier to pull off. It's not as heavy as a jacket, and those jackets, if you know what I'm talking about, can get kind of heavy. So, and they're typically a little bit longer. So this vest is shorter, no sleeves, still got that warmth. So all you gotta do is really pack on a really awesome flannel, put that on top of it, and you could have a night on the town in Colorado and be, just fine feeling. So, let's get to the home run, because this is going to be a shorter show. And this is something I found before I went to Colorado. I was in Colorado last week. For those that follow me here and there, I think I put some updates in my Instagram, which I do not have a reselling Instagram. I have a workout and fitness-based Instagram called Bod. Damn, go check it out. But only check that out after you've subscribed to this channel, because this is where all the eBay and the Amazon and garage sale content's going to go. But if you want to follow me to the end, man, then you got to be on Boddam on Instagram. Very important. Boddamn. It's a play on words. All right, so let me show you a hint of this next find. This is probably the best one. So I'm going to close it out with this. I thought about closing it out with the Hot Licks Taiko guitar, which might be broken now. Probably not. But this is incredible. Like, this find is crazy. And to make it even more crazy, a week later, my brother found I would say equally as cool, but not the same, find. Okay, and he paid less for his. He paid $6 for his. This is probably worth $3 to $3.50. I paid $13 for this one, if I'm not mistaken. All right, and this is just unreal. And it was found at a Goodwill. There was a reseller, I know it was a reseller, just filing through the coat rack. And like I said, I don't mess with clothing unless it's like outdoors clothing and like higher priced goods. I want to make $50 or more. Okay, 50 bucks is my minimum that I want to make on these items. And so he's rifling through the rack, and he just, does his thing and takes off. And I was like, like, I'm a pretty decent reseller. I'm not sitting there like being egotistical or anything, but I don't sit there and go, well, since our reseller went through it, that means there's nothing for me. And that's a terrible thought to have, so I don't ever think it. But it's almost like in my mind, I'm like, what did this person leave behind? Because I almost always will find something after a reseller has gone by. So what did this reseller leave behind? Here's the clue right here. Here's your first clue. All right. Does this get you, hold on. I can't show the word, man. Okay. Does that get you excited? Does this get you excited? This thing, which was in the pocket, okay? So what do you think? What do you think? Tell me. Oil finish wax. That was in the pocket of this next find. And this next find is probably going to sell for about $250, $300, like no joke, okay? It was a $13 find, pretty awesome. After this video, it will go in a box, so that's pretty cool. It has a giant YKK zipper on it. You know, why is YKK that great? It's because you find them on the highest quality goods, whether it be a LL Bean, you know, bag from back in the day, a square rigger, or you find it on this thing right here, or vintage North Face jackets. The YKK zippers are cool. They're huge, and the plastic ones are, you know, the big plastic ones. You always want to look at the bag that's on. When you start finding these gold kind of brass looking ones on the clothing, you know that piece of clothing is going to be bonkers and it's going to be awesome. So anyways, that's right. We have a Filson, all right? A CC Filson freaking, check this out, dude. There you go. If that's not, this might be boring to most people. They might be like, ah, what the hell is this thing? A CC Filson, I don't care. It looks huge, looks like a sail. No, it's not a sail. This is actually a field jacket, a waxed cotton field jacket. If you've never felt waxed cotton or waxed canvas, you need to start feeling that kind of stuff, because when you rifle through a clothing rack real quick or a jacket rack, this stuff feels completely different. It feels like it's wet, okay? So there's that huge YKK zipper. You can see it right there. We'll put my my finger as a reference. You can see how big this thing is. It's beautiful. Like I found this in a rich neighborhood, Goodwill, okay? So no surprise, like, you know, a lot of times the people with a little bit more money, they just like, I don't want to sell it on eBay or whatever. I'll just donate it, right? Maybe it was the wife that donated the husband's jacket that was never worn. This one is missing the liner, but that's not a huge deal. Trust me, like if this thing had a liner, like it would be incredibly, incredibly hot. Like I just don't see how it could get any hot. I just don't see how anyone wouldn't be comfortable just in the way it is right now. It's got a cotton interior. It's freaking phenomenal. But this CC Filson jacket right here, and there's the tag for you. So, you know, there's several tags on Filson jackets I've found, but there's the tag you want to be looking for. And then to confirm that, we have the leather patch on the back right there. It says Filson. And yes, field jacket, right? Field jackets are always going to have the big pockets in the front. I'm kind of show you the front part. This is a heavy jacket. I'm not even kidding. So this is the front of the jacket, and we have this big pocket right here. A lot of field jackets will have pockets, and here's the one where you can put your shotgun shells when you shoot bird or fowl or game or whatever. You put your spent shells in here, or your live shells in one and your spent shells in another. You can keep your hands warm. Beautiful, beautiful jacket. If you want extra warmth, you can button close it, which is awesome. But either way, like a killer find for 13 bucks. Like and here's the best part. This is when you know. This is when you know. All right. Let me show you this crap. This is when you know that it came from a rich neighborhood. No one ever used it. All right. Because in this little thing was this thing, right? And this is the oil finish wax that you have to put on the jacket periodically. Like if you use it a lot, you're probably going to want to put it on every, I don't know, 6 months or so. Now, assuming I can get this thing open, which I just did. Cool. All right. This is the wax that comes with it. All right. And this wax alone is probably at the store. It's like, I think 15 or 20 bucks. So if I want my money back, I just sell this, right? No, but honestly, like I'm in for the big money. So we opened the oil finish wax. Pretty cool, huh? Never been used. So yeah, and the jacket doesn't have enough jacket patina for me to go, oh, okay, it's been used a lot. Because when you deal with a waxed cotton jacket or waxed canvas jacket, it starts looking really weathered, each and every bend it makes, okay? So when you're holding it and you crinkle it up and you uncrinkle it, it looks more faded, right? And that's because the wax is starting to get brittle, right? And so anyways, you have to reapply the wax periodically. And yeah, I thought it was really, really awesome. I mean, it's insane. Like this will probably be my, I think I sold 3 waxed cotton jackets in 2017. A Browning one. I sold a is it Keaton or Kitten? Something like that, some jacket like that. A Browning one, maybe even a Remington one. But all of them were like, you know, very neat looking, had to deal with game, like hunting, fowl, dove hunting. And that's typically what those jackets are found in, those genres of things, right? When you deal with CC Filson, if you go to one of their stores, and they have not a flagship store here in Austin, Texas, but they have a store in there, and I go into it about once every 3 months, just to refresh my reselling knowledge. You'll get to really see, all the lineup of everything that they carry, and then you get to realize the difference between waxed cotton and waxed canvas. You get to feel the quality of a Filson bag, and what a Filson flannel feels like, and all those cool things. And then you get to realize the people that buy the Filson things in the first place. When you go into the one in Austin, Texas, there's like half of an old Jeep, or there might be an entire old Jeep like sitting there right at the front door. They're canoes, they're like moose heads, log cabin feel inside, right? Not so much like dove hunting feel, but definitely a outdoorsy wilderness, like raw man feel to it, even though they have a women's section. But yeah, you get that feel like you can just take an axe and just bring it down on the register, right? So that's what they're portraying, what they're pushing forward to the people that walk in the store. So the people that probably buy it are closely aligned with that. It's similar to if you go into a Yeti store, which we have a Yeti flagship store here in Austin, Texas, the cooler company, yes. And when you walk into that store, you realize it has to do with trout fishing and people that want to hunt gators and just be outside. There are not really any pictures of people on ski and wakeboard boats or anything like that, but it's more like country and bears and interesting things like that, and how the cooler can survive attacks, and for a bear like taking its claws to it, like really. But I have probably 5 or 6 different Yeti things that I own, and it's a great company because you feel as if you align with that somehow. And so that was a little bit of a tangent, but when you deal with these kind of jackets, it's important to put really good keywords in there, because the right kind of buyer is searching those kind of keywords. So it might be hunting jacket, field jacket, waxed cloth, tin cloth, whatever, and you have to be putting those keywords in, or else you're not gonna freaking sell that jacket you'll sell it for good money, but you might you could probably get 50% more if you use the right keywords. And if you're guessing keywords, shame on you. You should always find out the highest ones that have sold and sell one like this on eBay. And that way you get to really, I hate to say steal keywords, but you get to take someone's perfect listing, or at least the title of it, and bring it into your own, and then you can adjust a couple things here and there. But that's really, there's no secret to it. That's the way to do it. If you're building your own listings for all your eBay items, huge mistake, huge. If you have your own templates and stuff like that are optimized, I might understand that. But for the most part, you have to use sell similar or sell one like this. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go outside, play on my skateboard, have some fun. And I want to make sure I shot this video in about 30, maybe 40 minutes. So do me a favor, subscribe to this channel, get the Green Room Guide. It's the first link down below, all right? Go check that out. Go check out my Bonafide Hustler shirts down below too. All that cool stuff. Bunch of links down below. You can support the channel in so many different ways. But if you just want to hit one thing, just hit the like button. That's cool. And leave me a comment if you found anything that's like neat like that, or maybe like a wood bowl, or a champion juicer, or a freaking, shearling jacket, or, whatever, like I showed you today, even a Hot Licks guitar, or even a Tyko vintage 9.6V turbo bandit. Like, show it to me, like get on Bonafide Hustler Facebook, show me some pictures. And I hope you guys can make some money from this video. I hope you guys learned something from this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, take it easy. Goodbye.